19 combined meeting. Roll call, please, Mr. Merkley.
Mr. Costa.
Here.
Mr. Fiocchi.
Here.
Mr. Holmes.
Here.
Mr. Medio. Mr. Sobrana.
Present.
Mr. Silva.
Here.
Ms. Spinelli. Here. Mr. Ulrich.
Present.
Mr. English.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. In compliance with the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law, commonly referred to as the Sunshine Law, the Vineland Board of Education has caused notice and posting of this meeting to be sent to the following, announcing the time and place thereof, agenda, etc. The Daily Journal, SNJ Today, the Press of Atlantic City, Nuestra Comunidad, Visto Bueno, the Clerk for the City of Vineland, and the Administrative Office Public Bulletin Board. At this time, I would ask that everyone rise for the flag salute. Tonight's flag salute we will be led by Veterans Memorial Middle School students. Please come forward. Thank you, students. Mr. Holmes has some certificates for you. Thank you, students. Mr. Merkley, do we have a resolution for executive session this evening?
Not tonight, no.
Thank you. Dr. Gruccio, do we have special presentations this evening?
We do. We have two. First of all, I would like to just take a moment on behalf of the board to extend our gratitude to all of our veterans, those who are presently serving, those who have served, and of course those who have made the ultimate sacrifice. We have invited anyone in our district who is a veteran to please join us tonight so that we can recognize them and thank them for all they do to make sure and ensure that we have the freedoms that we enjoy every day here in our country. So at this point, if there's anyone in the audience who is a veteran, I would like to ask you to please come forward. I know we have three, Dennis McGee, Mr. DeSanto, and Joe Camardo. If there are any others, please come forward, and our board president and vice president have a little token for you. And again, thank you so much.
Yeah. That's great to hear.
Thank you again. For the next presentation, I'd like to call forward Mrs. Dina Rodolfo, and she will be doing our annual testing presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Gia is going to get us set up. We have
Oh.
So tonight I'm just going to be presenting our district assessment scores. I guess we can wait till we get that opened.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations to you.
What do I do? Just click this one? That one? Okay. Gotta open the curtain? Is there magic? All right. Is it not moving? Well, can we just open it and then, yeah, put it on the wall? There we go.
Yeah, it should work. It's got a couple pillars, but I can't fit in between them.
The screen's not working. It's not, no, it's not popping down. Oh, wait, there it comes. All right. Thanks, Gia. All right, so what I'm going to be doing is obviously be providing our most recent district assessment scores. I'm not going to go through every slide. This presentation is 60 to 70 slides long. We had to add a lot of different things in there this year, so I'm not going to go through every slide. I'm going to give you some snippets of different things that we're doing in the positive aspects, some of the areas of improvement, as well as go over some different areas. This is going to include our NJSLA, our math scores, our NJSLA language arts score, our DLM, which is for our most significantly cognitively impaired students. They have to take their own separate exam. It's also going to include our access scores, which are for our ELL, English language learners. Our science, last year was the first year that the NJSLA scores were actually given scores. Those scores have not been given to us yet. They just did the cut scores at the Board of Ed, the State Board of Ed meeting in September. So we're hoping to get those scores very soon. When I get those scores, they'll be added to this. And then I'm also going to go over, we're going to be reviewing the graduation rate data as well as our student postgraduate intended pursuits. That is an issue that had come up recently, and it was asked that we discuss it here, so that's also a slide that I'm going to discuss. And then go over what our next steps are. The whole presentation consists of this type of data. What you're looking at is for our grade 3. This is grade 3 ELA. For the last several years, as you can see, we have focused a lot of instructional, professional development and various things at our K-2 level and elementary overall. And as you can see from these scores, our scores have consistently gone up. What you're looking at, the way that our NJSLA is scored is they're either partially meeting, not meeting, approaching, exceeding, or meeting their criteria. And that's what you're looking at there. So if you look at our 2018, 2019 scores, this is an old one, that's a typo there, that's fixed, this is an old copy. Our scores have consistently been going up, and that is truly due to a lot of the professional development and instructional practices that are going on in the K-5 level. This here is our grade 3 math, and as you can see, once again, our scores have consistently gone up. And what you're looking at on those last two boxes there, it's showing you that 10% of our children have moved from not meeting or partially meeting. They've moved out of that criteria and have gone up either into approaching or meeting or exceeding. So that's where those 10% is leaving that the lowest score that they can get and is slowly moving up. And then in the upper scores, you're seeing 5% of our students have now have gone into meeting or exceeding. So we're continuing to see that growth at the elementary level. This here is our grade, did I skip a slide? Did I go too far? Yeah, this is grade 3 math. So this again is our grade 4 math. Again, we're still seeing 5% of our students that have gone from not meeting, partially meeting, or approaching into that upper level. So we're seeing that growth where we have more kids bumping up into that higher bracket, those higher scores. And we saw really strong growth at our 6th grade, where you can see our scores jumped from our average score in 2017-18 from a 730 all the way up to a 739. And if you look at the percentages of our students, we had 14% of our students at the 6th grade level move out of those lowest 2 categories up into the higher 3 categories. And 10% of our students are now meeting or exceeding the expectations in ELA at grade 6. And again, it's due in large part, to a lot of the professional development and a lot of the teaching that's going on at the K-5 level. And here is grade 8, which was one of the biggest jumps that we've seen. This is the grade 8 math, where 11% of our students left those lower 2 levels and moved up into the upper 3. And now we have 11% more of our students either meeting or exceeding expectations, with our average score jumping from a 714 to a 733 at the 8th grade level. And that's a huge jump. So these are all strong, positive aspects. Oops, I went back too far. We also look at areas that are in need of improvement. And although grades 3 and grades 4 showed some growth, we're looking at grade 5 here, and there was some here, we didn't see the growth that we saw at the other levels. So what we're looking at, and what our supervisors and principals are going to look at, is how to look at the different strands where they struggled at those levels and see how we can improve instruction, how we can improve what's being taught to bring those scores up. Okay. So this is one of the things that was brought up most recently regarding what our seniors are doing. So this is something that every school does, and it is basically, over the past few years, at the high school, we have worked really hard to create a culture at the high school where we are really focused on college, making sure that our students go to college or have some postgraduate path. And we've worked really hard at that at the high school level. The data above was compiled from counselors' contact with students and what they self-report. This data that we get is attributed to various different things. We have after school, we have Title I assistance that helps our students every day with filling out applications, meeting with parents, filling out FAFSA forms. That is one thing that has really improved our students' success in going on to college. We have essay writing. We have a huge flow of information going back and forth to our students with various things. Our counselors are meeting with students more often. We have on-site admissions, we have FAFSA nights, we have our JAG program that really helps our struggling students that might be considered high risk. That has been a huge help in getting these pathways to where they are. And so there are many factors that go into this. So this is all self-reported and from the students, as well as what the counselors are aware of with respect to applications that are being filled out, where these students are going. And the last slide that I'm going to discuss is, this is our graduation rate for the past, oh, yeah, it's on there, for the past, dating back to 2012. We have made huge growth with respect to our graduation rate over the course of the past, that's 7 years. And I can tell you, other districts, for example, Bridgeton's as of last year was 70.5%. That was what was reported in NJ Smart. Atlantic City, theirs was 81%, Millville was 84% as of last year. So we are, we have greatly improved our graduation rate, and that is attributed to a lot of different things as well. It's not one thing in particular. It is the, data entry was a big piece of it, is making sure that the information was being entered correctly, because it gets pulled from Genesis, so that information has to be entered correctly. But we have Camelot, which offers our students the opportunity to do to make up courses. So that's a huge thing there. They could do credit recovery. And option 2, opening that up. And again, that culture that we're creating at the high school with respect to staying in school, going to college, joining the workforce, or, some type of technical school. That is what is contributing to a lot of this. So I'm not going to go through the other 60 slides because we'll be here all night, but you all have copies of this. It's going to be posted on our website as well. We have to, so if anybody has any questions, I'll take them now, or you can just contact me and I will answer them. Does anybody have any questions? No? You have one. Sure. Thank you.
You can just put the clicker
Oh,
on there, too.
I'm still clicking. I'm like happy clicking.
I want to start. I do have a question about test scores. Go ahead.
Mr. Rodolfo, first,
Yes.
thank you for the detailed PowerPoint. We did get to review it, and you did hit on the areas. The best thing is we don't want to flatline. We always want to see a change in the positive
Yep.
direction, which we definitely see there.
Absolutely.
One thing that we've discussed as a board is ways we want to promote ourselves better. When we see a rate of 85% for our graduation rate, when we see 71% of the students are choosing some type of a path towards a 2-year school
Correct.
or a 4-year institution, I pull up on Zillow a place that's for sale, and
talked
it breaks
about
my
this,
heart
yeah. I
because
know.
Vineland High School is a 2 out of 10. Petway was a 5 out of 10. Memorial, 4 out of 10. And if we're able to get that type of data, I don't know how we can, as a district, get that out to these places, because people do not like to come to Vineland because the first thing they look at
Correct.
is the schools district and see how it rates. When I see these type of numbers, I know it's based on the previous year's numbers. Is that the job of the district to do that?
To be honest, I'm not sure where Zillow, and I'm not sure how old their information is or where they're getting that information from. I don't even know how that gets updated, to be honest. That'd be something I'd have to look into to see how we can change that. If that's something we have to provide, or that they just, where their data is coming from. I know that Dr. Gruccio and I have been working on getting a profile of our district, and all that information is on there, and I believe it's going to be printed, and we're going to disseminate that.
Right.
You can speak
It's
on
being
that.
printed, and then it's going to go to all the Realtor offices,
Yep.
City Hall, Chamber, so
I think that's huge to promote
Yeah.
that. And also, we have our digital signs, like at the high school now and various schools. That's a number that we should be proud of.
Absolutely.
And I think we should be seeing it more. When
Absolutely.
we initially heard it, we were shocked because we only heard the old numbers.
Right.
So realistically, to see numbers like that, I think that's great. But also, is there a way to track?
I knew you were going to ask that question. It's very difficult to track them once they leave here. And initially, when the whole SID number, where the state identification number came into play, there was some thought that it was going to move up to the college level and we can track them that way. They don't. And even if they did, if a kid chooses to go to a four-year college out of state, it'd be difficult to track. So the only feasible way to do that would be via some type of survey. And I can tell you from past experience, surveys on students, you get minimal response.
I Googled a couple of districts that did it, and it was crazy because they had like the 70% like we did, but then when they tracked it, it went down about 30%, and then it kind of...
They have what's called a summer melt,
Right.
for some kids, that where they're, a lot of kids, and especially in our district, they all intend, they have their heart set on going to whether it's Cumberland or a four-year college, and then what happens is, the money falls through, the parents can't pay, that financial piece is
Right.
usually the biggest hurdle for our students. So that's usually one of the reasons why, the biggest reasons why over the summer, all those plans, that's why they call it the melt apart, is because they just can't do it for those reasons.
And people that know me know I'm that career readiness guru that keeps pushing that, and I know a lot of the board members are feeling the same way. So at that point, when I see a low number, I don't know if it was 13% that are in a vocational type trade, I think, as you say, that type person that might not get to go to that college,
Correct.
that number
Right.
might tip the scale the other way. So
I know at our FAFSA night, and I know that they had it last year, and I'm pretty sure they had it this year, is they tried to include some of those other,
Right.
non-college type
Right.
of places to come in as well to give students the opportunity. So, to hear their information and those types of things. So we're always, wherever a student is, and one of the things that we're also doing is we have this new program. It's a Naviance that we're using at the high school. We just got it last year, and we're in the process of pushing it out to students. It has all the career inventories and the interest inventories and all those types of things built into and it'll track them for 4 years. So if we have a kid who truly is interested in going into another field like plumbing, let's say, or, or
I'm working too hard.
refrigerant cooling and whatever, that we can, we'll know, that's something that they're interested in, and it'll be tracking them for their 4 years. So that's something that we just got into last year.
I think the most important thing, I guess what I'm trying to say is, I believe that 71% is a huge number, but I don't want it to be a fictitious number if we're going to advertise it and say, hey, it's a generic number.
It is a number that is based on student report
Right.
in combination with what the counselors know. When those students leave here in June, they are telling the counselor, or the counselor has got verification that, Dina Rodolfo is going to Rutgers University.
Right.
Whether I go to Rutgers University or not in September, that's really difficult to track, other than, surveys which we don't get back.
All right. Totally understand. So, does anyone else
Any
have
other questions?
I do.
Yes.
I'm not going to let you off that easy, Dean.
Darn, I was so
I've known you
close.
too long. Okay, one comment. If we're going to push, rates, we have to make sure that they are accurate, and we don't want to mislead people. The 85% graduation rate, obviously, that is really, that's a stat-based, verifiable
Yep.
rate based upon
Yes.
whatever the state guidelines are. That's really good news. The 71%, I would just make sure that whatever we put out, that we put this is student-reported and not verified. And the reason being is I don't know that 71% is accurate. I know one thing, when I was teaching at the college for many years, that Cumberland County had ranked #1 in the state of kids that had 2-year degrees but did not go any further because of transportation issues
Right.
and things along that line that, obviously we can't control at a local level. But I would want to make sure that that's a student-reported rate and that it's clear that we can't mislead anybody to think that every student is 71%. That's a huge number, is going on to postgraduate education.
Correct. And it's their intended pathway is what it is. That is what
Right.
they intend to do.
I'd like to hire a couple electricians and plumbers and get some kids going into the fields that way, because then, they got some time invested, and, there's apprenticeships and things like that. But my next question is, I was, listening to your presentation, and I see we're seeing some improvement with some of the resources, and you mentioned professional development, teaching strategies that are impacting our young children moving forward, and then we had
Correct.
a little hiccup along that line. Are any of those strategies related to our RTI interventions that are going on within the elementary schools?
The RTI interventions,
Yes.
I would have-
Is that taking our lowest level children that are not exceeding performing, and can that be attributed to them now breaking the next step into meeting and moving on?
in order for me to know whether or not that's the case, I would have to know which students, and I wouldn't
Right.
know, I would need to know which students for each school scored and moved in order to do, and then look at that student to see, is this student receiving some type of tier, some type of service, to see whether or not I can, I can't say yes it is or no it's not if I don't know the specifics, the individual students that
Okay.
moved.
Fair enough. My
Yep.
next question would be for Dr. Gruccio. Is there any correlation of data looking at students that are moving in the elementary level to, obviously, a better place, and are we putting our resources in the right place?
Well, I certainly hope we are. Dina mentioned some of the resources that we have. We don't actually utilize RTI anymore. We use MTSS,
Right.
which
Okay.
is still a tiered system, very similar, but it gives teachers a lot of options as to what strategies to use based on the needs of each student. So I think we're doing everything we can. Unfortunately, we had to cut some basic skills teachers, but I think that our teachers have the resources there if they use them, and that we have everything needed to do what we can for those students to move forward.
Okay. That's an answer, and I'll follow it up later in the agenda
Okay,
with an agenda item.
okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
No? Okay.
Thanks again,
Thank you,
Mr. Dahl.
Dina.
Do we have any questions on the HIB report? Seeing none. Do I have a motion for the approval of the minutes for September 25th, 2019 Board Retreat, Goal Setting and Ethics Meeting?
Question.
Yes, question.
During that meeting, the board wanted to step back on their board goals. We approved the superintendent's goals. Before we go ahead and approve that, what's the status?
We did get together, it was John Sabrana and Alex Silver and myself. We discussed the board goals, and we have a proposed set of board goals that we would like to, I guess we can submit it to Scott,
Absolutely.
and then, or,
Okay, because we're going to have to get them approved for our QSEC, so we need to get them probably as soon as possible. And then I'll have to share them with the other board members. So, I mean, you guys put the time in, so as soon as you can get them to me, that would be great. And then Dr. Gruccio will probably work on getting on the agenda for December 4th.
Yes, definitely, they need to be on the agenda, and I'm also working on our strategic plan presentation, so I would want to know what they are so I can include them in that as well.
All right, and you can feel free to copy Dr. Gruccio on that because it's in conjunction. It's what we do at our retreat, so no secrets. Okay?
That's all the questions I have.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Including that is October 2nd, 2019, combined meeting, October 2nd, 2019, executive session. Do I have a roll call on all three of those?
So moved.
Same, right? Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Yes. Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. English?
Yes. At this time, do we have any committee reports?
Transportation did meet, but Eugene's not here, and he did the minutes. But I
Okay.
can talk about what we talked about.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in the Transportation Committee, we met 2 weeks ago, and we talked about the Oak and Main. Oh, was it facilities? Facilities. Sorry, facilities, sorry. Facilities meeting. We discussed the Oak and Main School, putting that back out to bid. And we also talked about the new bus yard and the parking construction that's going to happen around Gatone Stadium.
Okay.
Any questions on facilities?
Thank you. Do we have any other committee reports? Just a quick follow-up to my committee chairs. How we are getting everything on the website?
But I have a report.
Sure, you have a report? Sure, go ahead.
Our safety committee met, and Mr. Merkley took the notes, and during that time, we did discuss, present were G. Merkley, Dr. Danielle Sneven, myself, Scott, and Nick, and John Provenzano, our security director. We had a great conversation, a good starting point. We talked about our budgetary numbers, number of substitute versus full-time, looking into services that could enhance our security, some physical measures along with utilizing technology to its to our best use. And it was a good start. I was just talking to Nick Fiocchi, and we'll try to set up our next meeting for December to see where we have, what our status is, and I'll touch base with you directly, Gene, schedule it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ulrich. It was a very productive meeting, that's for sure. Do we have anything else? Any other committee reports? Yes.
Curriculum and Technology met on October 7th, 2019, and essentially we discussed, there was a NewJersey.com article that we discussed, as well as an NJEA comment. We discussed the law in regards to the history of disabled and the LGBTQ persons included in the middle and high school curriculum. It's our understanding that the New Jersey Department of Education has not yet updated the requirements as far as what is to be taught, like the curriculum. So they're going to be providing guidance, and we'll know a little bit more later on once they give us the information. We also discussed the November 5th In-Service Day, which recently passed, and we discussed the beginning of the agricultural classes. Anybody have any questions?
No, thank you very much. Oh, yeah, a quick question on the agriculture. How is that progressing?
It's my understanding it's progressing well. We have an instructor, and it's going to be very exciting. I mean, there are students that have already indicated that they're interested in participating in the program, and so I'm really looking forward to sort of building more momentum and really rolling this out. So I think it's going to be good.
Do we have an estimated time for the rollout, or we're not? I know Mr. Fry's not here. So.
Yeah.
We're hoping that by September, we can move forward with the greenhouse. That would be the first step. So we have money set aside for that, but we're waiting right now for them to burn all that area, the 5 acres that was cleared. They said they would come in and burn it, but they need people available to be there through the fire department. So once that is done, then we could proceed with the purchase of a greenhouse.
All right, thank you. Do we have any other committee reports? All right. Seeing none. Do we have any reports by our board solicitor this evening?
Yes, very briefly. I am pleased to announce that a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Merkley and I, with Mr. Farinaccio's assistance, closed on the 17 West Landis Avenue property. Our only remaining connection with the property is that we have reserved a underground drainage easement from this property through 17 West Landis to Coney Avenue, and that drains the area in the vicinity of Gatone Stadium. And the board approved that reservation, so that's our only remaining connection with 17 West.
Job well done by all who were involved. We can get over to Oaken, Maine, and we'd be real happy. That's for
They're
sure.
working on it, right?
Thanks to all for that. All right, at this time, do we have any public comment on agenda items only?
We have no agenda items. We have something reserved for later in the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Merkley. At this time, we have motions and resolutions by our superintendent, Dr. Gruccio.
Thank you. I'd like to recommend discussion of the personnel items, retirements, resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, employment, transfers, students, substitutes, extracurricular activities, and volunteers.
Do you have any questions or comments?
I would like to recommend,
I have a
I'm
question.
sorry, did somebody?
Mr. Sobrano.
Just a comment on the retirements. There are 7 people on that list with a combined total of 172 years of service, leaving some awful big shoes for us to fill. I had the pleasure of working closely with 2 of them, Don Massaro, 37 years, and Lauren Geiser, 31 years. And of course, there's other employees with many years of service there too. So congratulations to them, and that's our loss.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to recommend discussion regarding the 2019 to 2022 collective bargaining unit agreement with the Vineland Association of Supervisors and Administrators, which contains these salary increases and noteworthy changes. First year, 2.25% plus 500 per member base salary increase. 2020-21, 2.25%, and 2021-22, 2.5%. Noted are the removal of financial incentive for members waiving health benefit coverage and the removal of Board of Education payment toward VASA member dues.
Any questions or comments?
Just congratulations to all involved that was resolved in a way that was acceptable to everyone. It's good to not have contract issues hanging over us for a long time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Thanks to all who sat on that committee as well, from the board and our district employees as well. Seems we came to a agreeable contract, and we can move forward with that. So thanks to all.
I would like to recommend discussion regarding an agreement of resignation with the Winslow Elementary School teacher, which is on file with the board secretary.
Any questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding substitute pay rates effective December 2nd. One would be for long-term substitute teachers, which will change from $115 to $125 per day, and substitute teachers on a daily basis will change from $100 to $110.
Questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Aldrich.
Okay, first I'd like to thank Dr. Rossi and, well, probably Dr. Rossi, who put together all the statistics that I did ask for regarding our fill rates with the new company that we engaged with. I don't know how effective the $10 bumps are going to be as far as getting substitutes, but, I did forward those results off to the board, and our fill rate's at the teacher rate, and I only have one question about it. Is there anywhere from the data you gave me from 50% to 70 at the best? What happens on days where we don't? Well, what happens on the days where I'll give you 68.2%? So what are we doing? That's still a 30%, 40% gap in not having subs covered.
The short answer, Mr. Allwich and board members, is the principals are bearing the burden of our situation. It is very difficult to find available qualified substitutes. The principals are being creative and doing their best as educational leaders in their respective buildings. There are some days that are not good, and this is not unique to Vineland. The attempt with the increase is to try to address it a little more. We are in competition with neighboring districts who work for a different service, Millville and Buna specifically. There are many reasons why people pick up jobs and then drop them. So yeah, my best answer is the principals bear this burden and do a great job each and every day trying to provide the best education they can, but there are clearly hurdles.
Okay. I mean, the statistics are obvious regarding that. I just wonder how much that pay increase is going to make a difference. So you mentioned competition with the other company. I assume that's who we had before, Insight.
Insight remains, to my knowledge, in Buna and in Millville.
Okay. So the next question is you said something to the effect where teachers sign up and drop, or something, subs sign up and drop because of?
One of the there are many factors here that I could explain for quite a while. One is a job can get picked up through ASOP, which is the system that is used, and by the end of the week, that person may find a better opportunity and go elsewhere. It can happen. There are challenging situations. Perhaps a person has a preference for an age group or a gen ed situation, and the opening is in a different situation. They may take it temporarily just to get a payday and then switch when something else comes available, and that could be Buna, could be Millville, could be Vineland, but it could be a more, for lack of a better term, comfortable, desirable situation. And frankly, substitutes like Fridays off as well.
Okay. This next one, Joe, isn't going to be for you because you have no control over this, but as a point of contention, if my fill rates aren't going and I'm supplying, and I used the term, I was corrected, I used the term RTI. I was referring to basic skills teachers. Obviously, been in the district a long time, so I used the wrong term. So thank you for pointing it out to me as the strategy. But the bottom line is, in the elementary schools, the board's will was to ensure that some of our underperforming students got basic skills supplemental instruction. So if we're doing that and principals are becoming creative, and that's a term used, does that mean that the kids that really need the most help, those teachers are being pulled out, those children are not being serviced, and they're being put into acting as substitute teachers in other grade levels? Dr. Gruccio, that one was for you.
Yes, that is happening, I'm sure. We have asked the principals not to do that, but sometimes they're in a situation where there are several classes not covered, and so they're the kind of things they do to get through the day. But we have asked that they try not to do that. We realize it's negative for our kids, but obviously we have a serious problem with getting qualified substitutes.
Okay, I mean, can't beat a dead horse, it's just, I don't know what we're going to do to get better on this, but it's going to affect our children and burn out our staff. So.
The best answer I have is financial. Mr. Merkley and I discuss this daily, if not weekly or whatever. Short-term contracts where a person gets a salary, benefits, leave time, they come for that. They will be at my door. We have an ad out right now because we have some long-term leaves of absence that are affecting us as well. And the best way to address that is with a contractual position. we make a deal with a salary and they show up every day. A daily rate, as be it if you approve the 125, I think is better, and it may help us in competition with our neighbors. But at the end of the day, what gets people here is a contract.
Okay. That being said, great point. We used to have a program in the district called 3-7s. So we had teachers that were certified that would come in, and they would be there for half a day, providing supplemental in-class support, whatever the case was. Why aren't we doing something like that now?
Well, I would defer if Dr. Gruccio has a history with this. I'm open to any suggestion that she feels we should pursue.
The program worked in the past, but again, it comes down to finances. So if we're in a position this year where we can put money back, they're the kind of things that need to be discussed with our principals. Do you put back basic skills? Do you look at 3-7s? I mean, we have to really analyze the budget, but if we have an opportunity, I think the principals have to think very carefully and decide where they feel that money is best spent. For example, if we can only put one thing back, let's say at an elementary level, what is most important to that principal? Is it an additional playground aid? Is it a 3-7s teacher? If you wanted to put one in every classroom, that's a major cost. Is it an additional basic skills teacher? We really need their input on that, but we also need to look at hard numbers and see if there's money there to put anything back. We can't cut anymore. We know that. I mean, we're bare bones now. We've done all that we could. So I think we need those discussions based on the budget numbers we see as we move forward. I hope that answers your question. It's not a definitive answer, but it's really what it comes down to is money.
Mr. Ulrich, I had sent this to Dr. Gruccio because I saw on the website. It came from Bridgeton Public Schools, and Alex might be familiar with this. It read like this: we have many colleagues who are retired and looking for a way to continue serving children. So the Board of Education plans to hire up to 24 retired teachers to work up to 10 hours per week at $35 per hour for sole purpose of teaching limited numbers of students in small groups 1 to 5 as determined by the teacher, language arts, and their math grades 1 to 3. The tutor will have no other responsibilities other than teaching language arts/math, no hallway duty, no cafeteria duty, no covering classes, no substituting, no adverse impact on pensions, no adverse impact on Social Security, no nothing. So Bridgeton's kind of, there's a district that just got over $4 million, and that's kind of what they're doing with their money. And I see we understand it is a money issue. It's going to come down to the board when we change and bring in a new member in January. We're going to have to, it's really time to focus on the educational side of it, which is the reading, writing, arithmetic. And I know in years past we've always fought hard to save the extracurricular, the athletics and things like that, and people come to the podium and fight for this because we got 50 kids and things like that. But our ultimate goal, and we have to really start practicing what we preach, is what's happening in that classroom when they get dropped off in the morning by that bus until they get picked up by that bus to go home. So we're going to have to do some soul searching within ourselves, and a lot of discussions got to happen, but it's even bigger than the discussions happening. It's going to take some tough decision making to move forward. We joke and laugh about we'll never raise taxes. We found out that raising taxes another 2% gives you about 3-4 more teachers tops. So you're never going to raise taxes enough to fix the issue. We're going to have to get more creative as a board, as a district. When Mr. Merkley came on, he knew what he was staring at. He was staring at 14 million and then 8 million. Hopefully, we've done our share, Dr. Gruccio. I hope the state realizes that we have done our share. We've had some things said in the past by certain high people in our local area that you have to do your share. Well, since I've been on, I believe we've done our share, so I'm getting ready to call those people to the carpet that are making those decisions that get voted in these positions. Here we're burdened with it as board members to make it happen, but we are cheapening our product because the lack of the funding. So as I see principals out here shaking their heads, I know it's a frustrating thing, and Dr. Rossi goes to bat for you 10 times over every time we ask him the question, and it always comes back to that money issue, and I think we got to weather the storm.
I mean, we agree with you 110%. the issue is, we're doing more with less, and that's not a good thing. But we are truly at the point, in my mind anyhow, where our principals, we cannot cut anymore, and when it comes to education. We really cannot. They need support. They're doing the best that they can. And we all know that a teacher is the most important person in a district, and they're going to make or break a child by what they do in that classroom, how they do it, and what they say, how they say it. We know that. But when you're short substitutes and we're pooling our teachers, good basic skills teachers, to cover a class because there's nobody there, it becomes very frustrating on all of our principals. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Rossi, but these numbers are not like shocking compared to last year, right? It's not so much the company. We've always struggled to get substitutes, or is that wrong?
No, it's a very big challenge for every school district I've ever heard from. I've had conversations with Dr. Sneven, who has been at Buna and at Glassboro, and it's no different. So it's a serious problem.
Just, as I'm just a little slow on the uptake these days, but Dr. Rucci, a comment you made that the principals are going to have to decide if they need a basic skills teacher or so forth. I'm just digesting that, and I'm thinking, okay, one is that should be driven off of metrics, and we should have that data, and that's what I was asking Mr. Rodolfo to address in a roundabout way, is that all of our decisions should be database decisions, but I don't have to tell you that. But I do have a comment for you, that if you look at the comment that you made, and you look at the comment that Dr. Rossi made, that principals are going to have to get creative. So that means that they're pulling other certified teachers in the building away from their duties that are assigned. That could be a basic skills teacher, I guess in-class support special ed teacher, I don't know. But if those teachers aren't there, what do you do when you only have a 60% fill rate and there is nobody to pull?
That's exactly right, and that's what we struggle with every single day.
But that is not an acceptable thing for us to do. So if that means that we have to divert to make smaller class sizes, have emergency plans, that maybe, I don't know what it's like day to day at their schools. I see some principals here, and they're shaking their heads. That means that there's a bigger problem, going on with this. And I'm just digesting the information, and
I think, though, just speaking for personnel, the number 14 million will never leave my brain. That this group of people who lead the district, and yourselves, of course, arrived at a $14 million cut. That never leaves my mind, and the impact of that is felt every day.
All right. I really do thank you, Dr. Rossi, for answering your questions, supplying me with the data. That's a lot of work, but it's useful data for the board to really look at. And I know it's a pain in the butt sometimes to get, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. I really do.
Mr. President? Yes. I had an email exchange with Dr. Rossi about this afternoon, and to use a real tired cliche, I think we need to think outside the box somehow, because I said I was aware of this problem within a month of starting my employment. That was March 1995. So it hasn't changed in all these years. The problem persists, and we've, slowly raised how much we pay, and I think it's had a minimal, positive effect. So if there's another solution out there, we need to look at it.
I think by raising the rate, we're hoping that will attract people to select us over another district. All we can do is try. We know it's a problem. We're all doing our best to work through it, but the people just are not out there. So we're hoping that this will give us some relief or attract more people to our district.
I don't mean to be critical of Dr. Rossi or anyone here. I'm just saying that we clearly identified the problem, and what we made is a different solution. If a little more money attracts more people to us instead of going down the road, that's great. But I don't know long term if that's going to be what we really need to
Well,
improve
what
our
will
fill
work,
rates.
Mr. Sobrano, and I know we had a couple exchanges, and you worked here a very long time, and you've seen us since the 90s, is salaried positions. If we gave every school 2 or 3 salaried teachers as floaters, they'd be there every day, because they have a pension, they have benefits, and they have a salary, and then they could probably cover a lot more of these vacancies. But that's money.
Well, can we do that? Can we afford to do that?
Two people to your right, I'll look at him.
That's the question. When we actually see solid budget numbers, I believe that's when these discussions, we have to prioritize and decide what's going to help our children the best. And look at all of these scenarios, talk with our principals, and make decisions based on what we believe is going to be the most beneficial for our children.
No one wants to say.
Mr. Merkley also mentioned the absentee rate, which you address all the time. We have staff, I mean, we have 40 to 50 staff members out every day just at the high school. So, you know, when they're not here, that's what causes this issue.
There is a cultural issue that we have been dealing with, we continue to deal with. And believe me, there are many, many, many dedicated people. You honor the perfect
Absolutely.
attendance people every spring. But there are a small percentage of people who do frequently take their leave time.
That's a lot, it's hard for me to digest. Just thought I'd say that.
I'd use the word hope, but hope doesn't get us going anywhere.
14 million will never leave my mind. We cut $14 million, and it's every day with us and the principals, every day.
We really wish we had better answers, but that's the reality of what we're dealing with.
That's for a budget gap.
I believe we're going to be approving our budget calendar, so it's going to be an interesting budget year, I can tell you, because things have to change, Dr. Griccio, and we have to be better. And I know you know that, and I know we know that, and I know the principals know that, but our product just isn't like it used to be.
I think we're all trying our very, very best, but we all know the situation. Money, you know, money makes a big difference, and we will continue to fight with the state for money this year, just like we did last year. I met with the governor, I met with the commissioner, I mean, I met with Senator Sweeney. We went all over meeting with people to try to secure money for our district. And you know the responses we got. It's not like we don't care or we're not trying. We're all trying very hard. From the top down, our teachers are doing their best jobs they can. Our principals are working hard. The answers are not what you want to hear. It's just reality. Without money, we can't put these positions back. We're trying our very best, and we all want the best product because we're here for children. But we're doing the best we can.
And I
We're
want you to
gonna have make
understand,
decisions.
we know that the district's doing the best they can. The people above are not doing the best they can do for the city of Vineland.
Well, we're going to keep on them just like we tried last year. We're not going to give up.
Okay, we definitely drove that point home there. Do we have any more questions or comments on 1.4? Seeing none,
I would like to recommend approval of personnel items 1.1 through 1.4.
do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Costa?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. English?
Yes.
I would like to recommend discussion of approval of field trips and district travel.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion of a resolution approving the dates, times, and places of monthly board meetings. There is a list provided and on file with the board secretary.
Any questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion of the submission of the New Jersey Department of Education 2018-19 School Self-Assessment for determining grades under the Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act. This is required by the state at a public meeting prior to the New Jersey Department of Ed submission.
Dr. Gucci, can I just go back to one thing?
Of course.
I know we're starting school back January 2nd, correct?
Correct.
And
I think it's the second, right? Yeah, I think
we
it's
reorg on the 8th.
correct.
So what happens there? Do we just govern under the previous board in place? Or are we at a law until we reorganize.
Until you reorg, you're under the same,
Under the same?
right, Bob?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to recommend discussion regarding entry into a dual credit articulation agreement with Rutgers University for the 2019-20 school year.
Questions or comments?
I'd like to recommend discussion for the authorization of the board secretary to enter into an affiliation agreement for the 1920 school year for the placement of students for field internships, student teaching, practicum, and observations with Simon's College.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion to enter into an agreement with Golden Gate Incorporated in support of their 21st Century Community Learning Center grant, which will provide a targeted assistance enrichment program from November 25th, 2019 to June 17th, 2020, per the terms of the agreement at no cost to our district.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the 2020-21 preschool expansion one-year preschool program plan. This is for preschool expansion aid.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding approval of the adoption of the 2020-21 budget preparation calendar.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend approval of 2.1 through 2.8.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Mr. Ulrich?
Yes,
Mr. English?
Yes.
They pass.
I would like, I'm sorry, do you have a question? I would like to recommend discussion of budgetary transfers from the general school-based and ECPA budgets for September 2019.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion of the board secretary and treasurer reports for the month of September 2019.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the following change in signers for the two safety patrol accounts which are held at Newfield National Bank. Remove Mrs. Helen Haley and add Mr. Gene Merkley.
Just a quick question. How many more is Helen still on? Is this it? Holy cow. It's unbelievable.
I think we got him.
Got
we
all?
got 'em.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to recommend discussion regarding the cancellation of the list of checks that are provided and on file with the board secretary and remit the funds to the State of New Jersey Department of Treasury Unclaimed Property Administration.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the appointment of staff of federal program salaries and funding percentages for the 2019-20 school year as per the names provided and on file with the board secretary.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the submission to the Department of Ed, Office of Early Childhood, the 2020-21 ECPA budget, which totals $18,773,694.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding submission of the following grant application and acceptance of the funding. Cumberland County Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Service Grant, Vineland Municipal Alliance, for the period of July 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2020, in the amount of $5,600 for a drug and alcohol-free post-graduation celebration, with the amount to be matched with $1,400 from the City of Vineland Board of Education.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the tuition contract between the City of Vineland Board of Education and Gateway Regional High School Board of Education contract for one student in the total amount of $21,500 at $2,150 per month from the month of September 2019 through June 2020.
Questions or comments?
I'd like to recommend discussion regarding the tuition contract between the City of Vineland Board of Education and Gloucester County Vocational School Board of Education for 3 students in the total amount of $23,679 at $2,367.90 per month from September 2019 to June 2020.
Questions or comment? Just a quick question. These students, do we know what they are going to Gloucester County for?
I'm not sure if they're special ed or voc.
No, they're not special ed. There are 3 regular, I think, I remember looking at them. There are 2 that are performing arts, which once we get our academy up, that'll be the end of that, and I don't remember the exact one. Does it say it on there? Health and medical.
Health and medical.
The students that are presently in these programs will continue till they're done, but once we get rolling with our Arts Academy, the new students will no longer be allowed to go to those different facilities because we'll be providing it.
That's what I was checking. Thank you very much.
Okay. I'd like to recommend discussion regarding the placement of special education students.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the sales with no reserve of the vehicle list, which is on file with the board secretary, to be auctioned on Gov Deals.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend discussion regarding the following Cumberland County Regional Cooperative Transportation Initiatives: transportation quoted contracts, transportation addenda, bids number 5, pupil transportation, and fall bus evacuations.
Questions or comments?
I would like to recommend approval of items 4.1 through 4.12.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Yes. Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. English?
Yes.
They pass.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio. Okay, we have no proposed items for review or discussion or adopted by board members. Do I have a motion for the approval of bills incurred during the month of September 2019?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Acosta?
Yes.
Mr. Fiocchi?
Yes.
Mr. Holmes?
Yes.
Mr. Sabrana?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Ms. Spinelli? Yes. Mr. Ulrich?
Yes.
Mr. English?
Yes. We have no emergent items. At this time, opportunity for the public to address the board. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes, and can you just please go over the protocol real quick once again for me, Mr. DeSanto, concerning?
Will do. Yes. The Board of Education conducts public comment on any matter at each of its meetings. Historically, the Vineland Board of Education has been interested in hearing comments and concerns from parents and other members of the public. However, it has always been the board's hope that speakers will respect the privacy rights of our staff members. So we ask speakers to please make comments without specific reference to staff members. Dr. Gruccio and the administration will follow up with any speaker if necessary.
Thank you, Mr. DeSanto. At this time, if anyone would like to approach the podium, please do. State your name.
Good evening, Board. Tom Dietz from Vineland here. I have a son who's been 3 years in the high school. I've been trying for 3 years. I'm a taxpayer. My family's been in business for over 50-some years in Vineland here. I'm trying to get him into some kind of activity, some kind of sport. I met with Don Robbins. I met with Mr. Baruffi. And every time I meet with them, I take a physical paper over to Dr. Soloff. The last time they gave it to me after the date, which I was confused, why the hell would they give me a paper after the date? And I took it back, and then they told me the paper was filled up after the date. But now 3 years later, I've been trying to get my boy into some kind of activity, and the district just isn't filling his needs of like a sports activity. You know, and I'm just confused why nobody's looking into this. 3 months ago, I met with the solicitor and Nate Fry in a private meeting. They said that they were going to get in touch with his guidance counselor, and the solicitor could tell you they were going to get back in touch with me. 3 months later, you know what I heard? Nothing. You know, and it's pretty bad when you got a student in this school district and we're taxpayers, and I've been trying for 3 years. I meet with people in private meetings, And once again, I got not one phone call back. You know, so now I have a private attorney. He's away right now in Washington for this week here through the Navy, but he'll be back next week sometime. So if one of the board members or Mrs. Gruccio could call me or get in touch with me tomorrow or the next day, he'll be back after the 19th, and he would like to meet with me and either Tiffany Evans, or we can meet here at the board and discuss my son's activities and take it from there. You know. And I have one more topic after that.
Go
What
ahead,
do we
you have
say
5
about
minutes.
his sports?
You have 5 minutes. You could.
Okay, and one more topic. About 3 weeks ago, my son was in the office at the 1112 building, and a Vineland police officer walked into the office there. There were students sitting down. It was open staff with the staff there, the secretaries, and my boy said something to the police officer. He told the principal and the staff and my other students, don't worry about my boy. All he wants to do is rob people, and he's all talk, which I have a private internal investigation going on right now, which I called here 3 times. I spoke to Mrs. Stevens twice in regards to that. What she told me blew my mind was she told me to talk to Mr. Harris, and I said, Mr. Harris is a juvenile unit. I called back, left it on Rosini's thing, so I went back to the police department. I met with the internal investigation officer, and he says that he don't have nothing to do with the internal investigation. But in regards to coming into a school and in front of students and the staff members and the principal, instantly the principal called the police officer into the office. But I mean, I've been trying to reach out to Mrs. Gruccio, but once again, I got nowheres. But I mean, for the cop to come into the school district, all I wanted was a written report from the district, which happened in the school property. Mrs. Stevens told me that it's a police matter, which I totally understand that, and I'll get a report from the police department. But I mean, since it happened in the district and my son's rights were violated, I would think that the district would give me a written report too. So that's where I stand right now, and that's my 2 topics. You know, I'm trying to get my boy and then get this other issue taken care of.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dietz.
All right.
Mr. English, I would ask that speakers acknowledge what I had recited just before Mr. Dietz. He mentioned about a dozen staff members, and I just asked the speakers to please respect the privacy rights of those individuals and bring to the administration. Now, the follow-through will take place. Okay, Dr. Gruccio will follow through with you. Thank you.
Do we have anyone else this evening?
Hi, good evening. My name is Riley Howardson. I'm an 8th grade student at Dominic Pilla Middle School. And I'm here to talk to you guys on how I did not get accepted into the National Junior Honor Society. It has been a goal of mine to be in the National Junior Honor Society since the 6th grade, and I have been working up to it. And once I get into high school, I plan on going into the National Honor Society. I have been recognized for multiple awards, and one of them was the Prudential of Spirit Community Award. And you get to go on this amazing trip there, and they only pick a couple middle schoolers and a couple high schoolers to go. And I remember when they were there, they were talking about how we're leaders and how we do so much in our communities and how they just encourage us to keep doing it. And how I scored so low on being a leader and having charactership in it. I feel like it wasn't the numbers that they gave me shouldn't have been, because they were talking about how I got like a 1 in leadership, a 1 in citizenship, a 1 in character. When I wrote a book, I have multiple awards. I've handed in this thick binder of letters of recommendation, and I scored so low on it, and I did not get accepted into the National Junior Honor Society. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else this evening?
Good evening. My name is Julie Howerton. I'm the mom, proud mom of Riley Howerton. I, too, want to address the fact that she was not accepted into the National Junior Honor Society. I have all these pages and stuff, and I'll try to really stay on task. Sorry. In regards to the situation, after finding out that my daughter was not accepted into the National Junior Honor Society, and given the scores that she was given, I was provided with explanations, which when I looked into the actual National Junior Honor Society website, did not coincide with how she was judged and the things that she was judged on. There was a meeting that took place only after I asked for what the appeal process was, and I was told that there was not one, and then I provided the person in charge of the Junior Honor Society over at Pella Middle School with the appeal process, which is supposed to be that their decision was made, and then it goes to the principal or acting principal at the time, where everything prior to that is disregarded. Her information is provided. They look at it. They score her on their own without even knowing what the other scores were, and that decision is made. And then if I don't agree with that, then it goes to the district superintendent, who is supposed to follow the same thing. Everything is disregarded. They look at the evidence, the awards, the letters, things like that. The first appeal process that I went through with the acting principal, it was nothing like that. It ended up being more of a meeting. The first person that provided the decision was also there. The acting principal never once even opened up or looked at anything in the binder. My daughter was accused of being dishonest when she was there as well. We found out that there was a meeting that all of the other children who were invited to apply, they were all invited to a meeting where they would be congratulated and questions asked and advice given on how to fill out the forms and what they could do to better improve their chances of being accepted. I was told to my face and to my daughter's face that my daughter was called down not once, but for 2 different meetings, and that she was provided with her forms weeks in advance, which my daughter was given the form as she walked out on the last day of school to go get on the bus, as were 2 other special education students. One had no idea what the form was, threw it in the trash. When Riley so excitedly snapped pictures of it, sent it to me, talked to the boy, he said, no, he doesn't even know what it is. It's probably something stupid and he doesn't want to be in it. So nothing was explained to our children. But my daughter did fill out her application. She did provide I believe it's 97 awards that speak of her leadership skills, her character, her citizenship. They're from, as the National Junior Honor Society says to score on for citizenship, local, state, federal governments. She has letters from the president all the way down to the Board of Education, the mayor. She's stood here and received multiple awards for her character and her leadership. I feel sorry for anybody who goes through an appeal process that gets told, oh, well, whatever they looked at and scored, I'm going to back them. And that's what I got from the acting principal. And then from the superintendent, who also did not look at one bit of her awards, letters of recommendation, nothing, in turn said, well, I'm going to request that the acting principal have a meeting with you to go over the binder. And whatever that principal decides, I'm going to back that principal. That meeting never took place. I got an email requesting her binder again, and then an email back stating how her binder was judged by that person on things that are not in alignment with the National Junior Honor Society. Things like she had 19 infractions and uniform this and cell phone that. Well, most of those uniform infractions were supposed to be removed because she was being written up for not having uniform pants on when she was in a cast and couldn't button and unbutton her pants. Oh, we'll take care of that. I was told by the principal, we'll take care of that. Yeah, that shouldn't be on there. Or she got written up for a jacket that she wore that had a hood, but the hood was rolled up and tucked into the collar. Oh, that'll be taken off. But none of it was ever taken off. And I'm pretty sure that if you look at 99.9% of the students in Vineland High School, most of them have uniform and cell phone infractions. She did have one disciplinary action last
Ms.
year.
Howerton, your time's, you have 30 seconds. I just want to let you know. Okay, thank you.
The discipline action, she was in a fight. Her and the girl are very good friends now. So that speaks to her character. So just to let you know, my plans are to go public with this. I'm seeking an attorney because she was discriminated against and not invited into a meeting, and the appeal process was just atrocious. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Howerton. Do we have anyone else this evening? Board members, do we have any old business or new business to discuss this evening? I just want to touch base on, I'm going to call it old business, just to make sure that we're on the same page. For our district board goals, you'll just get them to me so we can make sure we review them, and we will get them on our agenda for December 4th, okay? I thank you guys for doing that as well. And at this time, I will start with board member remarks. I'll start to my right with Mr. Fiocchi, please.
Nothing at this time.
Mr. Holmes.
Yes, I want to congratulate Mr. Fiocchi, Mr. Sabrana, Mr. Silva, and Ms. Cadaspati on your win last week. I'm looking forward to working with all of you again for the next 3 years. Well, next year for me, but whatever.
Feeling positive, that's a good thing.
And I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. Have a good night.
Ms. Acosta.
I also want to congratulate Mr. Sabrana, Mr. Fiocchi, Ms. Cadaspati, and Mr. Silva on their quest to help the children of the city of Vineland. I know that you guys are going to do a great job. I also want to thank Mrs. Rodolfo for all the hard work she did putting together. I know it was a very lengthy presentation, and we only had a little snippet of it tonight, but I appreciate you forwarding the presentation to us so that we can review it in advance. And finally, I just want to wish everyone a very happy Thanksgiving. I hope everyone has the opportunity and are blessed to be able to spend some time with their families, and that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Acosta. Ms. Spinelli.
Firstly, I would like to wish a good luck to the Vineland football team as they play Williamstown Friday night. And I also would like to congratulate all of our new winners, Kim Cadaspati, welcoming her back to the board, and our current board members who will be doing another term. And I look forward to working with everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Sabrana.
Congratulations to Mr. Fiocchi, and another congratulations for you on a personal note. Also to Mr. Silva, welcome back. Mrs. Cadaspati, looking forward to working with all of you and having a productive year. Also, thank Mr. Medio for his service. Congratulations to the Vineland High football team for an unbelievable comeback last week against a great team, and looking forward to possibly another playoff win this week. And happy Thanksgiving to everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Sabrana. Mr. Silva.
Not at this time.
Mr. Ulrich.
I would also like to congratulate Mr. Fiocchi and Mrs. Cataspati, Mr. Silva, and Mr. Sabrana, especially Mr. Silva for the 2-year term, because oftentimes when we have to appoint a board member, people say, well, that's us appointing, it wasn't the voters' will. Well, I'm happy to note it was the voters' will. So congratulations, everybody. We have a lot of work to do in this upcoming year, obviously. So just congratulations across the board. Also to our veterans, Veterans Day, passed on Monday. Like to thank our veterans for their service. And our current people that are supporting our right to freedom and to be able to speak our minds and be able to ask questions and want the best for our community and our children. So thank you to all of our veterans in our district and our community that give us the freedoms that we enjoy today. Also, thank you to the teachers. I didn't want to seem that, I'm really concerned about our substitute fill rates. It's the reason I forwarded through the questions. I know it's a complicated issue, but it's getting to kind of like a little bit more of a break point because, as noted, $14 million is a lot of money to cut. Some of the positions that we cut, some of the lower paying positions and stuff, I wonder if that was a great move. I know that the board did support some of them, but I think we have to ensure that that our classroom teachers that are providing this support to our #1 goal of education aren't being detoured towards other duties, pulled to be subs or pulled to clean up tables in the cafeteria and things like that. So it's not the best situation to be in. I understand we have to do what we have to do, but the future could yield some compliance issues for us in some certain situations. So I want to be mindful for that. And there are what was said tonight, that the principals, need to, they're going to be asked what they need, what they can do for it. I want to make sure that that is really what they need, what they can't do without, because hoping that everything is going to work out, I'm sorry, that's probably never going to be the case. Is that we have to come up with some firm solutions. This budget cycle obviously is going to invoke discussion about how many schools do we have open, classroom size, extracurricular activities, our AMSA program, our security program, busing. So you can see all the things that are going to really be given a hard look, and are we doing the absolute best? Do we offer classes in the district that maybe only a small percentage of students are taking, and that might be something where we can look for value and say, what is the return on investment? If I have a district of, or if I have 3,000 high school students and only X number are taking this elective course, maybe we should think about not doing that elective course and taking that teacher and moving them to a different things out of the box. John talked about it, is that we really need to be thinking about options that we can get staff members in here. I mean, obviously the absenteeism rate, dry programs, I know we have a gym up here that was opened up, but that's the nature of the beast. It's up here. I mean, how is that going to be utilized? Are we dealing with, is it just more maternity leaves? I mean, that's going to happen. Is it people that are suffering from serious illnesses? That's going to happen. So with a district of 2,000 employees, 900 certified staff, we're going to have times when we're going to have people out because of things that they can't control. So if it is a small number of people that abuse the system, I think we should deal with that small number of people. And I don't look at our staff in a broad stroke like that, because there's so many things going on, and life's circumstances can happen to you when you don't think that it can happen to you. And, so I am mindful of that, and I would never, cast a wide net like that, because I don't think that's the case. But, we are doing the very best. All of us up here have the very best interest of our students. I've always supported the classroom teacher and things that affect the classroom, such as in-class support, aides. That's been my mindset for, this will be my 11th year. It will not change. My mindset is on that, along with safety. So with that being said, I wanted to thank everybody for being creative, for covering those gaps. And they're not things, it's not a best practice. So we have to figure out what can we do, and hopefully, and I don't want to use the word hopefully, because I don't believe the state's going to come and bail us out. So I think we're going to be faced with another budget cycle where we don't see that increase in funding. Just a couple thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ulrich. Dr. Gruccio.
I'd like to thank the Memorial School students who came this evening to do the flag salute. I'd also like to wish our football team the very best on Friday evening. And again, I thank our veterans for their service. We want you to know how much we appreciate all that you have done and continue to do for our freedom. I'd also like to congratulate Megan on her engagement. I'd like to congratulate Nick on his recent wedding and on getting reelected to the board. I would like to congratulate Scott. Happy birthday. I would like to congratulate Mr. Sobrana for being back on the board, and Alex, and Mrs. Kim Cadaspati. I'm really excited and looking forward to a productive year with our board, and I want to congratulate and thank all of you. And finally, I just wish all of you a very blessed Thanksgiving holiday.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio. One thing I've been trying to do as I close each meeting is continue to promote our positives in the Vineland Public School District. Tonight, we had a little speed bump there, because when we start talking budget, there's never anything positive about that budget, because we always want more. Reality kicks in, and it's not always able to be the way we like it to be. Something that took place a couple months back, I was able to sit in on a principals meeting with Dr. Gruccio and the central administration staff. Maybe May, early June it was, but I want to commit myself to being part of these discussions, because I want to hear firsthand what the principals are saying. We understand that we cannot cut anywhere else, but maybe there is an area that we have never looked at, a stone that's not unturned. I talked about when that bus picks the student up to when that bus drops that kid off. That's what we have to get back to. It's the Vineland Board of Education. That's who we are. And it's so important. Each member up here, we specialize in different areas. And the one common denominator we share is we do want what is best for everyone. John talked about it. Tom talked about it. Other board members talked about. I can't thank our staff members enough from A to Z, because you are in those trenches. It's no different. A plumber in my trenches, it's work, and it's hard work. And no one should ever be content with the product they put out, because you should always want it to be better. I know the players and pretenders, as I have said, in this district, so realistically, Tom, he's pretty blunt about, he doesn't think the state's going to bail us out. I'm going to start pushing a little bit harder on the people that have made those backdoor promises, and maybe bring them back to the front door again, because we do elect those officials as well to get in those seats, and they shouldn't be forgetting about a district the size of ours. That's kind of negative, so I want to start to switch into the positive stuff. So tonight, Ms. Rodolfo gave us a huge positive, which is graduation growth.
Absolutely.
It's about wins and losses sometimes. We definitely won because now we are not looking up at Bridgeton and Millville. They, in turn, are looking up at us. And that's a great place to be. 85% will become 87, will become 90. Boy, if we ever see 100%, that'll be super impressive, but, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. So I thank you for the data and the growth spurt that we so need to hear, because we don't get paid up here, but that is our paycheck to see growth. So I thank you for sharing that with us tonight. As far as the congratulations go, I want to congratulate our newlyweds, Mr. and Mrs. Fiocchi. Best of luck to a healthy and great life together. And to see Megan get engaged, congratulations as well. Best of luck to you. It's a great thing, so enjoy it. I want to congratulate my board members that sit up here with me, Mr. Fiocchi, Mr. Sabrana, Mr. Silva, for winning the election. Realistically, yes, you won that election, but remember, the people that also were on that ballot, they were winners too, because they had the courage to put themselves on that ballot. I want to speak about Mr. Medio. Mr. Medio did not win, but he's a man that wears his heart on his sleeve. You never, ever had to wonder where he was coming from. You knew it, whether you liked it or not. Hey, that's how you would have digested it. But what you see is what you got. Meat and potatoes, black and white, and I respect him for that, and I thank him for his multi-years of service to the Vineland Public School District, the taxpayers, and the students here. Spotty, welcome back. You were the top vote getter. As you see sitting at this meeting, as we see you sitting here, you heard what's ahead of you. It is a constant battle, as you know. I know the work ethic that you put out there, and it's a breath of fresh air to have you back, because I know where your strengths are, and it'll be a pleasure to work with you come January once again. To our athletic teams of the fall, you guys all had a successful year. I thank the students, parents, and coaching staffs. I continue to wish our football team much success as they're having. But one thing that we haven't said tonight was best of luck to our academic team, because once again, it's the academics, and where do you get the academics? But in the classroom. Best of luck to them against Millville. That's a couple weeks. Hey, we're beating Millville in graduation rates. We've been kicking their butt in football, so what the heck? We might as well just kick their butt again in academics. I love it. It's a thing of beauty. Basically, what I have for the rest of you, all our staff members and your families, take the time over the Thanksgiving break to really love one another, talk to one another, experience what family really means and what it means to be thankful for. It's not just about turkey and stuffing. It's about love and memories and family. So when you're sitting there enjoying your meal, think about that special family that might not be as fortunate as well, and maybe come Christmas, pull that name off a tree, because that's right around the corner. I really, I believe, and I truly believe, that the team that I'm surrounded with here, as well as central administration, is going to strive to do what's best, because the upcoming year is going to be a year that there's going to be a lot of change, meaning the future vision. This board will be charged with possibly picking the new superintendent of schools. Dr. Gruccio is going to be finished her contract up. Does she want to come back? We don't know. But at that point, it's about time that we, as a board, in conjunction with Dr. Gruccio, start thinking about that future, because before you know it, it's here. We're already looking at the holidays. You know it comes quick. So a lot of challenges ahead for the upcoming boards, for our central administration team, and for our staff members. Once again, I wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, a safe one, and enjoy the start of the holiday season. At this time, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, and have a good night.